Hello, everybody. Welcome to my informative speech today. This is my live audience, my buddies Jordan, Graham, Parker, and Jacob. Today, I'll be talking about the Clean Air Act and its overall effect on climate change. You guys remember a time when going outside for a walk was a health hazard? That's what air quality looked like before rules such as the Clean Air Act were transformed in order to implement serious air quality standards in the US. Air pollution does more than suffocate the natural world. It's a danger to our health, our economy, and our future. For what it's worth, it's important to know the mechanisms by which laws such as the Clean Air Act help us. I'm a huge advocate for our environment and its safety. I've spent a long time researching the Clean Air Act and how effective it could be in tackling climate changes. The Clean Air Act is one of the most successful environmental laws in US history and is an overall case study to how tough government regulation can be both crucial to boosting public health and preventing climate change. I'm going to dive into the history and objectives of the Clean Air Act, quantifiable health and environmental returns, and what we look to do to face and endure our fight against climate change. History of the Clean Air Act. It was implemented in 1963. The Clean Air Act was passed at that moment, but amended in 1970, which was the first inaugural standard for air quality in the US. It was supposed to regulate air pollution, protect public health, and preserve nature through regulation and enforcement, but it did much more. Estimates of over 230,000 premature deaths were avoided annually through the Clean Air Act and its beneficial prevention. We've already seen where the Clean Air Act came from. Now let's see how it actually benefits us on our health and the environment as a whole. Decreased pollutants such as carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide have been decreased by over 70% since 1970. Better air means less asthma, lung disease, and other cardiovascular diseases that affect both the geriatric and youth. A cleaner environment is a healthy economy, and that was stated by ex-EPA Administrator Lisa P. Jackson, who also says that the Clean Air Act has demonstrated time and time again that it is possible to have a clean environment under the Clean Air Act. The Clean Air Act has been amazing, but there are still issues that we will have to adapt in order to combat climate change. Climate change problems and possible future contributions that can possibly affect us are present, and these challenges include excessive greenhouse gases and industries refusing to adopt more restrictive enforcements and measures. Its future purpose will be to set stronger CO2 and methane emission standards that will target climate change at the epicenter. A good example of such is California's strict emission requirements, which should be a model for us as a national standard, but have not been put into national adoption. As we've seen, the Clean Air Act is far from dead and is a tool in our toolbox for maintaining a sustainable future. The Clean Air Act has cleaned the air, protected our health, and provided a roadmap to address climate crisis as a whole. I've blanked and I've stated on the history, been able to give you the purposes of the act, its effects of the health, its effects on our health and environment, and overall the promises that we can provide to be allies that combat climate change. When we stand up for these things such as the Clean Air Act, we're not only purifying the air, we're making our planet habitable for future generations. So let's continue to breathe easy and appreciate the simple yet not so simple laws that we've set for us on a day-to-day basis. Thank you.